Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded for anybody that might be new here or just in the space in general. What we typically do is go over crypto news throughout the prior day and the morning of. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who is here in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Luke, my man, appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Lawnmower Man, Charles Harris, Andrew Masad. Appreciate all my members showing up today. Good to see you guys. Must be stoked about the new Bitcoin all-time high. It's the first time we've ever broken a Bitcoin all-time high before the halving. Overboard Tech, good to see you, buddy. Cook 4015, my man. Keen Bean, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good morning. We have Black Hat Team, Backwards Miner, Steven Cicero. Good to see you. Good to see you. I wish Hawk would get your name right. He keeps calling you Stefan. I don't know why he keeps doing that. It's hysterical though. Let's see, someone in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Dom G, Mike the Miner, everybody else, Rob Mines, everybody else I may have missed. I apologize. Let's get into this and see what the market's looking like today. Bitcoin 66480. Guys, if my stream starts to lag or freeze, please throw a bunch of emojis in the chat, like the loading emoji, so I know, because it was giving me a little shit this morning. So I'm hoping we're gonna be good. But regardless, Ethereum 3847. Ethereum's holding up very well, very well. Everything else, there's a lot of red in the market, but Shiba is still up overall, right? It's 16% down right now, but my bag has pumped like 3 or 4x from the holdings that I just had, so it's still up quite a bit, right? We had a massive rally, and people need to understand that crypto is going to have these kind of pullbacks, right? In the grand scheme of things, $4,000 from where the all-time high was really isn't all that much. Yeah, part 2 stream incoming. I hope not. I hope not. I figured out how to stop it before it freezes, so I'm hoping I can do that today if it does. Caspa looking like it's holding 15 cents. Took a little bit of a dump, but guys, listen, 18 cents, 15 cents, it's a buying opportunity, at least in my opinion. We have APT, whatever the hell that is, at $13. Honestly, I'm not even sure what that is. ETC is at 36 bucks still. Let's see, Dogecoin at 16 cents. Where's LTC? Oh, right here. $83. Nice. LTC still holding pretty good. Man, this deep red scares the crap out of people, but it still looks pretty good. XRP at 60 cents. Solana at 129 bucks. Man, it's all looking really good, to be honest. Let's get over to crypto bubbles. Check out the biggest loser of the day is Shiba. Looks like 20.8%. The biggest earner of the day is Uniswap at 20.2%. Let's see, we have WIF at 17.7. Damn, I should have bought this, man. I think this logo is hysterical. I just like how it's called Dog Whiff Hat and the ticker is WIF. It's a riot. It's like the best meme ever. I don't know why I didn't get any. Crazy, but good on you guys if you did get any. We have Bonk down 14%, Doge down 13.5%. Honestly, this looks very depressing, but to look at this, this is on the week. Just to kind of put things in perspective for everybody, Shiba is up 205% on the week, regardless of the down 20.8% today. So take that as you will. Pepe is up 124% on the week. We have Crow up 43.7%, Fetch AI, which is yeah, just an AI narrative, 71.5%. Again, WIF is up 156%. So everything's looking pretty good. Caspa's really been taking a shit, but there's a lot of FUD going around with Caspa as of right now. But I think it's personally, I think it's a buying opportunity. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Dan R said, did you get my message on Discord? I did not. About why the BTC dump. Oh, yeah. Well, BTC, as far as I know, the reason BTC dumped is because a wallet from 2010 or something had a bunch of Bitcoin and it actually like put it on the market and sold it. Is that wrong? Oh wow, my computer just did something. I don't know what that was. It scared me. I thought we just froze. But yeah, that's what I think. I'm not sure if that's what you sent me, Dan R. I did not see it. Flashbang, Fear and Greed Index 75. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Okay, it is down to 75, which means people are getting a little nervous, which will theoretically, you know, the big guys will want to come back in and buy it up again. So just keep it, you know, keep it in the back of your mind that pay attention to this thing. You know, when people are greedy, be fearful, and people are fearful, be greedy. Over 90, that was high. That was a high needle. So having a little bit of a pullback, this is nice to see. I like seeing it around 75 because that's not too greedy, at least in my opinion. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, USDC, Cardano, and Dogecoin. Looks like Shiba is still holding 11th place. Look at that $21 billion market cap. It's crazy. I'm still shocked that Shiba is like pumping this crazy. Does anybody know, was there like anything like real news as to why Shiba is pumping like this? Does anybody know? Dan R said, that is what I sent you. It was a tweet picture of the wallet address. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't open Discord in the morning on this computer because it gives my Streamlabs crap and I don't understand it, but whatever. Anyways, looking like Caspa is in 37th place. We have Pepe in the top 40s now, which is the 39th. Look at that. Nice. It's had quite the rally. All these meme coins have been killing it. Absolutely killing it. Let's see. Ethereum Classic is in 23rd. Litecoin's in 22nd. ETC has a $5.3 billion market cap. Litecoin has a 6.3. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. I'm stunned. I really am stunned that Shiba's in top 11. If this gets into top 10, I think I'll throw up. Just because it's like such an old meme coin. Like Dogecoin's the OG. But Shiba, like this was the last bull run. I'm shocked it's up this much. Is anybody else with me on that? Or is it just me? Let's see. My guess is that, hold on. My guess it is BTC and meme coin season. Oh yeah. Yeah. Frozen crypto. Yeah. Look at the memes. Ready? Let's go to the meme. We go to categories here. You can find memes somewhere. Look at this. Look at these charts. The 7 day. Look at the 7 day. Everything's over 50% minimum. Well, except for this one. This, whatever it's called, meme coin. Literally, I don't even know what that is. But everything else, like there's so many coins up over 50%, except for like a few. Right? 150, 965% PopCat. What the hell is that? Dude, there's so many coins that are just going absolutely parabolic. But hey, listen, take the gains. Don't forget, don't be moon boys. Don't hold it on like forever and friggin' expect it to keep going, because things will come down at some point. Check out Lithium quick. Lithium, hell yeah, looks like it's climbing up the charts today. 8% on the day, $3.47. I'm gonna check out Neoxa. As Neoxa has been coming down a little bit, but honestly, it's still up. It's down 1.4% today, but you can see the 1 month. They actually went up quite a bit. Quite a bit. I do need to still do my masternode at some point, get that video together. What other coins? Let's see. Oh yeah, this one's been trending. The COQ Inu, 32.7% up. Let's see. I put $30 into this the other day. It was at like double, or like not the other day, a couple months ago, maybe a month ago. I forget, but whatever. It was like $60. I was like, wow, that thing must be pumping. So I wanted to check that out, and it was trending. Yeah, all right, let's move on to the mining segment of things, because there's really no other coins that I care about looking at right now. DJ, what's up, buddy? Good to see you in the house. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, you guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. The most profitable ASICs on the market currently, we have the Antminer KS5 20 terahashes making 178.25 per day. It was over 200 yesterday, obviously relating to the fact that Caspa is down to 15 cents. But guys, again, my opinion, buy an opportunity. We have the BMKS Max 11 terahash unit making 89.20 today, or per day. This is at 10 cents kilowatt hour, by the way. So depending on what your electric rate is, you can adjust it here on this little thing. So feel free to go to the site and check it out. We have the Windminer K9 10.3 terahash unit making 86.91 a day. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. The Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making 65.97 per day. We have the KS3M 6 terahash unit making $47, basically even, 47.08 a day. The X16P, shout out to Jingle Mining for letting me borrow this a couple weeks ago. It is making 28.88 per day. Now that ETC is pumping, that's mining ETC and ZIL. That's awesome, actually. That's very good. CKB's actually been doing pretty well on these K7s, 25.22 a day. This is the 63.5 terahash unit. Nice, not too bad. Scrolling down a bit, the Ice River KS2 2 terahash unit making $15.53. We have the Antminer L7 9050. This is the unit I have. It's actually killing it at 10 cents kilowatt hour. It's $15.35. Not too bad. Not too bad. Too bad. I was hoping you'd lose it all. What do you DJ, what is happening? Oh, Shakester, he took a short. That's right, I forgot. Get out of here, Shakester, you bastard. Shorting Bitcoin, how dare you? No, I'm just kidding. Congrats, buddy. I'm glad you made some money. DJ says he was hoping you lose it all. That's terrible. All right, we got the Superscaler K10, 45 gigahashes. This is the FPGA, making $10.62 a day mining Carlson. I'm actually kind of, you know what? Hold on. What's Carlson at? Carlson is one of those coins that I didn't think was going to survive this long. Oh, it's only at a penny. What? Is that right? It's making almost $11 and it's at a penny. That's crazy. I guess. Weird. All right, we got the Ice River KS1 1 terahash unit making $7.77 per day. The S19K Pro, I got my unit down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. Links are in the description if you guys are interested in paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour, or actually, is it 11? I think it's 10 cents for ASICs and 11 for GPUs, but regardless, 120 terahash unit making $7.10 per day. Let's see. Anything else that you guys want to look at? Where's the KS0? Ice River KS0 200 gigahash unit making $1.60 a day. That's really not bad, man. Under 100 watts. Mine are pulling like 90 watts. $1.60 a day, I'll take that. Why not? That's really not that bad. Actually, that's at 10 cents. You know what? Let's just check for shits. My electric rate's about 30, which is disgusting. You guys ready? Let's see how gross this gets. Let's see how much I'm making on these KS0s. Oh god, please tell me it's not in the red. Here we go. Oh, I'm still over $1. That's awesome. I'm still over $1 a day after electric. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. I'll take that all day. Actually, you know what? My X4 1U is actually even profitable. And the X4Q. Wow, I thought I was losing money on these for sure. X16 still making $6.71 a day. Holy shit, at 30 cents? Damn. I don't think electric rate matters for Caspa. Yeah, Borston, if that's how you say your name. Apologize if I butchered that. Yeah, I pay 30 around here. It's like 28, 30, somewhere in that range. But yeah, they recently upped it, and that's why I sent everything down to Terra Hosting. It was too much. It was too much for me. All right, let's move on to GPUs and see what GPU coins are most profitable today. Ironfish on the 4090. That one's actually been on 4090 for a little bit, or it's been off and on the 4090. Nexa also. We have Pyron on the 4080 Super, Hyper and Lithium on the 4080 itself. Pyron and Nexa going down the charts. We got Chlor a little bit, BTG, Ursa. I think this is a new coin, Ursula. I don't know if anybody's into that. Make sure it's not like any type of virus in their wallets and stuff before you guys get into it. I don't think Yeti audited that one yet, but feel free to check out that site, yeti.uk, to get you guys the let's see, I think it's this right here, yeti.uk. Get you guys make sure you're safe downloading these wallets and stuff off these whatever it is, the GitHubs or their websites or whatever. So just see if it's smart to download stuff on your PC. If you guys are going to do that, please be safe. Yeah, that looks like it's really it. Conflux Radiant for the A5000, if anybody has one of those. Lithium's doing pretty well. You guys know it's starting to pop off again, so I guess we'll have to see. All right, let's get into the news of the day. Bitcoin will likely go much higher at a faster pace than expected, says Anthony Pompliano. Anthony Pompliano is a crazy Bitcoin bull. He has a channel. He's amazing, and I have links to all of this stuff down in the description below. I'm going from earliest yesterday after our stream to this morning, more or less, so let's get into it.
Bitcoin is basically back to those record highs from a couple of years ago. Joining us now is Anthony Pompliano, a founder of Pomp Investments, and it's kind of a fool's errand to ever try to figure out where Bitcoin is headed, but just in terms of things that are on the horizon. We got the halving coming up. We've had the ETF that was recently, spot ETFs are now becoming more mainstream. And how long has it been? Has it been 2 months? It started maybe a little bit slow, but then it's been like kind of a rocket ship.
If you look over the last 60 days and in the next 60 days, I think there's two big stories. The ETF approvals obviously were a huge deal. BlackRock alone has $11 billion in their ETF. They added $1 billion just in the last day. And so these are massive inflows for just one fund. There's 11 of them. And so obviously there's tons of money coming in, about 12 times more demand for Bitcoin than what the network is producing every single day. But also, as we near this record high, if we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times, Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less. And so if you think about that for a second, once you break through an all-time high, it's price discovery. What is this thing worth? The world is going to try to figure that out. And 3 of the last 4 times, in 18 days or less, it doubled in price. You add in the fact that we have the halving coming, and we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the supply to 450. And it's very hard to make an argument that Bitcoin is not going much higher and at a faster pace than we all expected.
I mean, when you do the math, I feel like I need to say that past results are not indicative necessarily of the future, because it just you sound so, I mean, it just sounds that anyone at home would, you know, if they're totally new at this game, they might mortgage their house and put it all in Bitcoin. And there is still risk in the asset, is there not?
I definitely don't
Hold on, we have to pause this. Should we mortgage the house? We're going to ask the 8 Ball. See what it says. Damn it, I can't read it. Please ask again later. God damn it.
That they should do that, right?
I was hoping for a real answer.
When you ask most people in the Bitcoin world, they will tell you higher percentages than you would expect in terms of what they've put in. But I think 1 to 5% for a traditional portfolio ends up making sense.
But you just made a case for going from 70 to 140 in 18 days. I mean, that sounds like things that you hear on TV where you just want to really stay away from.
Bitcoin's up 20% in the last week. It's up 60% in the last month. And it's up 200% in the last year. I'm not saying it's going to 140,000. What I'm saying is 3 of the last 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. And with a halving upon us, it's just hard to not say this is likely to go much, much higher. And so what I think...
Last 3 out of 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. How amazing is that? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat if you think that's going to happen.
Also, we start to pay attention to here is, look, there's 3 main new buyers that are now going to come into the market. The first is public pension funds, right? We had a fund. It was anchored by 2 public pension funds in Fairfax County. Catherine Molnar and Andy Speller were the CIOs there. And they're up 12x on their exposure to Bitcoin in that fund. And so when you see that, you say to yourself, wait a second, there's only 4 funds last year in all of state public pension funds that were fully funded. If they all went and put 1% in Bitcoin, there's a very strong possibility that a number of those funds would get back to fully funded status over the next 10, 15, 20 years. On top of that, you've got sovereign wealth funds. They've been very quiet right now. There's now ETF opportunities for them. They don't have to go buy Bitcoin and potentially take the risk of the geopolitical backlash. They can simply go get the exposure without actually holding the Bitcoin. If a sovereign wealth fund comes out, especially a major one, and says, we've bought Bitcoin and it is a material percentage now of our portfolio, I think that there will be a global race between countries.
Do you think gold is up in sympathy with Bitcoin? I mean, why is, or is there inflation? The 34 trillion, inflation is coming down. Is it 34 trillion? Is it the number? Is it the amount of debt and how quickly it's growing that has Bitcoin and gold both strong in recent sessions or in recent months?
If you go and you look, one of the critiques of Bitcoin was it was a 0 interest rate phenomenon, right? Oh, if rates are down, Bitcoin's up. Yeah. If rates go up, Bitcoin comes down.
They haven't come down.
Well, rates are up and Bitcoin is back to an all-time high. Stocks are up, et cetera. So what Bitcoin has become is a index for global liquidity. And although the Fed, the ECB, and Japan are actually contracting their balance sheets, China has been basically giving the middle finger to the rest of the global economy. Okay. And they're saying, hey, we're going to ease here. We're going to go and put liquidity into the market. And so Bitcoin is a big, big winner. If you believe that the dollar is going to continue to be debased over the coming decade, Bitcoin's going to be a winner. And if you think global liquidity is going to go up, Bitcoin's going to be a winner there, too.
And what's gold's market cap? Is it
10 trillion or so?
10 to 12 trillion. Yeah. Some people are looking for Bitcoin to be 10%, 50% of the market cap. Do you think it could be a multiple of the market cap of gold?
Today, Bitcoin at 1.35 trillion. It's bigger than the U.S. high-yield bond market. It's bigger than the silver market.
But it's a tenth of gold.
That's fine.
And you think it could go to half of gold? That'd be...
It used to be 1% of gold. Now it's 10%. Eventually it's going to be 100%. And eventually it's going to go past gold.
So that would be over $1 million a coin.
Because Bitcoin is a 10x improvement on gold. And if you're a 10x improvement, to be 2 times the market cap would make sense.
Okay. So you're bullish.
Very bullish.
I'm kidding. I know. I'm gathering that. And no matter, you know my feelings on this, and I have not been quiet. I'm still going to get grief for questioning you at all from the hodlers. And that's the other thing. No one's selling.
We could be wrong.
But if the network isn't producing any and no one's selling, then where the hell are these ETFs going to get the Bitcoin?
Yes.
So that's all.
We could be wrong, but the probability is that it's going higher.
Yeah, that's not my music. They try to shut Joe up for whatever reason. They don't like him talking too much about Bitcoin because he's like way too bullish on it. So they always try to shut him up, and they play that music stupid loud so you could barely hear what they're saying. But anyways, what do you guys think? 18 days. I wonder what's going to happen. I'm not sure that'll actually happen in 18 days, but yeah, I think it'll be a little different. Like somebody in the chat said, I don't remember who it was, but you said probably not this time, but after the halving, you think it's going to explode. Now, I'm probably there with you. I think we will see probably in the 70s before the halving, but I don't know too much higher than that. But again, there's not much resistance once we get past that all-time high 69, 250, or whatever the hell it got to yesterday. And by the way, I forgot to say it. Good to see you, Mr. Geek of All Trades. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, Bitcoin hits record high above $69,000, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it. Oh boy, hold on. We can't do it yet. It's muted. Damn it. Why does it always do this? All right, let's start it over. Here we go.
Let's talk about the ultimate risk asset, and that is Bitcoin. Of course, the red headline crossing the terminal right now that Bitcoin surging to its first record high since November 2021. It has been quite a journey to get us there, to say the least. And I mean, talk to me about that, because you think about the difference between November 2021, when Fed funds were at zero effectively, and where we are now, you know, well above 5%. What do you make of those types of moves in this market?
Well, obviously, risk is on. People want to be in risk assets. And so Bitcoin is the ultimate risk asset. I think the launch of the 11 Bitcoin spot ETFs has a lot to do with driving market demand. You know, if you look at the actual available liquidity in Bitcoin, like something like 85 to 90% of Bitcoin is not liquid. So that's that 10% that those spot ETFs are playing with, and the flows into those funds are tremendous. You know, I believe there's 4 that are over $1 billion, and the BlackRock one is at like 9. So, you know, if you think about it, the flows into these products are very strong. So I think those two things are part of the story. And then you have the halving that's coming up in April, which will also push the price up. So a lot of tailwinds for Bitcoin right now, not the least of which is that people are more likely to take a chance on risk assets.
All right, really appreciate that. And of course, you mentioned
real quick, Robert in the chat said apparently BlackRock bought tons of BTC when it hit 59K. And you know what? I had a buy order at I put a bunch of $100 buy orders in when it dropped, and it actually hit 59 1 something for one of my buys. And that's the best way to do it, man. Just kind of take, put buy orders in 5%, 10% down and see what happens, or 1%, 2%, whatever you're comfortable with,
those spot Bitcoin ETFs, those launched in mid-January, like you said, upwards of 10 or so that actually launched as new ETFs. As an investor, how do you do due diligence on those products, given that they all hold the same thing? What does that process look like from your shoes?
For me, I look at who the issuer is. So obviously the big winners, Fidelity and BlackRock, they have overall trust. They have a lot of experience just running ETFs. For me, I prefer Bitwise's BitB, because this is a firm that has been dedicated to the crypto space for years now. I first met Matt Hogan in 2017 when they were just getting up and running, and he has really been able to help with the advisor market. They're very good with education. They're very dedicated to the space. So I'm encouraged that people see that. For me, it's all about the issuer. I want to be with an issuer that knows what they're doing and that is dedicated to the space. So I tend to prefer something like BitB versus iBit or Fidelity's product, which have obviously been the two biggest winners because just the large scale of the firms behind them. But for me, the due diligence becomes about the issuer and not necessarily the underlying.
All right, shout out to them for that. Bloomberg Television. Again, links are in the description for anybody that is new here or just joining. What we're doing is more or less I go through the news throughout the previous day and the day of, and update myself and bring you guys along for the ride. So shout out to you guys for showing up. Appreciate you all. You guys are still early. Bitcoin is boring, and that is a beauty. Let's see what he's got to say over here. CNBC Television. Let's Get into it.
And I know many of us are still trying to get our hands around the movers of Bitcoin in either direction. So stay here with us so you can participate in this. But for more on the Bitcoin rally and this crypto trade overall, let's bring in Mike Buscella. He's managing partner at Neoclassic Capital, also a former trader at Goldman Sachs. So, Mike, Mackenzie laid out a number of reasons why we see Bitcoin going higher. Her last point, to me, is the most fascinating. It's momentum. It starts going higher and just keeps going so. What are your expectations for where the price of Bitcoin is going, and what do you think the biggest drivers are and will be?
Sure. So you'd mentioned 70 million %. The most amazing part of that is that Bitcoin hasn't changed at all. Bitcoin has stayed exactly the same from day one. The world around it has changed quite a bit. And so to think about it a different way, people aren't necessarily buying Bitcoin. They're selling things that aren't working anymore. So it's almost like they're handicapping the global government's ability to navigate the next few decades. It's a live bet on central banks' ability to land the economy. And of course, there's speculation around that. So the price of Bitcoin represents the intrinsic value of Bitcoin plus speculation. And clearly, between meme coins being the best performing assets of the last 7 days, CryptoPunk selling for $16 million, funding rates going through the roof, there's obvious speculation, but the intrinsic value of that option of Bitcoin versus the rest of the world continues to grow. And so I think that's where you're getting a steady base of inflows, but the speculative piece is that kind of day-to-day price fluctuation you see.
Yeah, Mike. Real quick, can I just mention meme coins? Yes, they've been crazy pumping the past 7 days, whatever. Obviously, on the dips is always a decent time to buy, but guys, please don't FOMO into meme coins unless you're willing to lose it all. That's the biggest thing I can tell you, because they're super risky and they can go down in a second, literally a second. So just fair warning.
It's Dom. One of the things that Mac brought up is this idea that the spot ETFs, the money they're taking in, is fueling some of this demand. You're having more, fundamental institutionalized kind of demand coming through. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about black market stuff, right? This idea that we were using things for illicit trade and all of the bad cases for use of Bitcoin was coming about. What exactly then does this next leg look like? Does it include that conversation all over again?
Yeah, I just didn't want to repeat the BlackRock and Fidelity comments that everyone said for the last 3 months, but I would say that's obviously a credentialization of the asset class. So we'll use the term financialization of a new asset class, being Bitcoin, being traditional assets, being part of the traditional asset optimal portfolio. So a friend of mine leads crypto and digital assets for one of the largest investment consulting firms in the world. And he had mentioned that Monday was his largest inbound day ever from those institutional clients. And so you have both the retail market, and obviously that's a large part of the market these days, both in stocks and crypto, as well as the institutional side. Everyone's very excited about it. I think, it's definitely changing the scope of public assets. So obviously a lot of viewers of CNBC will be trading things alongside the Bitcoin ETF, but things like miners, Coinbase stock, MicroStrategy, all different drivers. MicroStrat is obviously a Bitcoin whale. Those whales will actually drive some of the innovation Mac mentioned around Bitcoin virtual machines, or the Ethereumization of Bitcoin, because they have the ability to sort of allocate Bitcoin value to those platforms. Coinbase is obviously this decentralized neobank of the future and building on things like Base. And the miners I actually think are fairly interesting, because there's going to be enormous alpha to be had post-halving. And you're going to look at these low-cost, scalable miners outperforming some of the ones that are going to come into a pretty difficult time. And so I think between all of the assets, there's really interesting opportunities to trade each of them. But obviously the ETF flows have been, the story of the last 6 months.
And can I make one other point on that? What's especially noteworthy is the fact that, the major wirehouses, asset managers, and RIAs haven't even cleared the ETFs yet for their clients. So you're expecting another wave of interest, which kind of goes to a larger point that Mike was just making, is you're going to see a lot of the supply go away. That market-making event called the halving coming up in a couple of weeks, it's naturally designed to create scarcity around this asset.
So let's take us through, because a lot of people, we're still trying to grasp the halving concept. It's this idea that you're not going to have the growth and supply of Bitcoin be nearly as robust as it was pre-halving. Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Exactly. It happens roughly every 4 years, and it cuts the basically the supply in half. The new circulation, it's baked into Bitcoin's code, and it's naturally meant to have this deflationary effect. And there's also, one other point that Mike just made, you're seeing a lot more companies building on top of Bitcoin, that layer 2 ecosystem, and they're scooping up a lot of the supply.
All right. Mike Buscella, all of these things are huge, right?
Does this guy not remind you guys of that Chow guy from the Hangover movies?
but there's still going to be power usage that becomes an issue.
Like the serious version.
At some point, we've talked about AI and data centers and how much power they're going to use. How much does cryptocurrency factor into the future energy profile of not just this country, but around the world, if its use is to hypothetically keep going on its trajectory right now?
I bet he's funny as shit in real life. And you know that guy Chow is actually like a real life doctor, by the way. So I could totally see this guy being hysterical too.
It is a major part of grid transition to clean energy. And so if you think about whether it be stranded energy or scalable alternative energy, I'm full disclosure, on the board of TeraWolf. We power Bitcoin mining through hydro power and nuclear power, two of the cleanest forms of power in the world. And we continue to scale out those facilities. There's obviously this push and pull now between the Mag 7 looking for alternative power sources for their AI applications and the high power compute that comes across that and demand on some of these data centers. And so I think for a lot of the global Bitcoin miners, they're going to constantly need to seek the lowest cost of capital, or the lowest cost of power, I should say, to continue to mine Bitcoin, because, I mean, it is a clear cut. We've had a run in Bitcoin, but there has been, a cut in supply. And so every, block of Bitcoin you're mining, there's less revenue associated with that. And so I think the low cost miners will have an opportunity post having to kind of get through their own little distress cycle and either acquire or scale, profitably if they have the ability to do so through scalable mining sources. And that's kind of an interesting concept because, it's a way that most hedge funds have traded the sector for a period of time. And I think there's going to be material alpha generation versus basket trading versus, Bitcoin, 70 million %. They've never had a management change. They've never done any M&A. It's just a beautiful, simple product.
All right. Shout out to them for that. Let's see real quick in the chat. Mr. Max Voltage is now a meme coin holder. What meme coin? I need to know. Why did you cave, and which one was it, Max? We already know. It was cocking you. All right, let's get into this. Bitcoin falls after record high. 3 biggest crypto events. Let's see what Yahoo Finance has got to say. Let's do it.
Bitcoin is sliding after briefly hitting a new record high for the first time since November 2021, passing that 69,000 mark. Here with more is Yahoo Finance's very own Brad Smith. Brad.
Hey, Josh, great to see you. Look, longtime market domination viewer since day one here, and I'm ready to dominate this Bitcoin hit for you. First and foremost, we got to talk about Bitcoin down right now. 11%, having the worst day since November 2022. Our own Jared Blickley flagged that for us. And here's where you're seeing some of that intraday activity that took place. Of course, the number that many people should be focused in on, and rightly so, is that new record that we took out from November of 2021. And so the new mark to top and get back above is now $69,191 here. And so we're going to continue to watch this closely. But if you're wondering, well, why did the steam come out of the engine here? Well, Bitwise Asset Management CIO
DJ says, how old is this video? This guy does look like he's from like Saved by the Bell or something. This was 15 hours ago. Again, I'm doing it all in order of like when the dip happened, and I wanted to see all the crazy news around it and why everybody started buying it back up.
Matt Hogan told us the thing that could stop Bitcoin from rallying is if long-term Bitcoin investors decided to sell. The ETF and that market is soaking up more than 100% of the net new supply. So it's only when people who have been holding Bitcoin for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, they decide to sell that we could see prices pull back, just as we are right now, because he doesn't see the ETF demand going anywhere, Hogan explains. Holding 60,000 could be a key level to hold, with hopes of a new support during the higher highs witnessed as Bitcoin is clearly broken out of this crypto winter here. So here are the keys to the Bitcoin record that we've seen so far and what's yet to come. ETF applications and approvals, the April Bitcoin halving anticipation, plus you've got a year of global elections. So let me break down 2, and then we'll have a conversation about the last one. First and foremost, the global crypto market cap. It sat earlier today at $2.42 trillion, according to CoinMarketCap. Dinara co-founder and CEO Lawrence Latimer, he told Yahoo Finance on December 26th, we think by the end of 2025, $2.5 trillion is in view as that overall market cap. So if you kind of average that across the industry, we think there's another potential 50% or so upside built into the pricing of assets. That was in December, Bitcoin being among them. Now, you think about the ETFs and the halving. Ben McMullen, who is the IDX Advisors Chief Investment Officer, said this morning, I think this time you've got more breadth behind this particular rally, which makes this milestone more significant. Landscape of buyers coming into the market from off the sidelines through these ETFs. This is a lot stronger tailwind than we saw a couple years ago with the all-time highs last time around. So at this point, roughly 95% of all Bitcoin that have already been mined are already in the ecosystem. That's not to say that it's not going to have an impact. It's just, potentially one other thing that could be a catalyst here as we move forward here. So back to Economics 101.
And that's not including the 5 to 7 million that are probably lost from old hard drives, old PCs back in the day when people didn't really give a shit about saving your private keys. So keep that in mind. 95% of the coin is mined out, but there's also a shit ton of it lost, right? So 21 million is the max.
Going to provide a nice little tailwind for further upside pricing here.
Brad, let's also talk about the role that global elections could play. You mentioned there that they could play a role. Dig into that a little bit for us.
Yeah, that's right. And so you do have more than 60 countries heading to the ballot boxes this year in elections around the world. And there will be areas where crypto or Bitcoin most certainly is on the ballot. And we had the opportunity to speak with a few folks about this and legislative actions in which regions could be pivotal about this. And particularly here, we did get one comment from the Chainlink co-founder as well, who said, I think the Asian markets, especially Hong Kong, Singapore, will be at the forefront of Bitcoin and digital currency adoption this year. This is mainly because the regulators in those regions have more progressive and open-minded views towards digital assets and seem committed to making the region a leading jurisdiction from them. Also went on to believe that in the Middle East, that's going to drive the next wave of adoption following Asia. Appreciate Sergey for those comments there. And then we did also have the opportunity to just briefly speak as well with Ben McMullen on that matter. And it's really just coming back to the number of people that are going to potentially look at this as an inflationary hedge and perhaps vote in favor of anybody who's running a campaign that is a little bit more cozying up to crypto here. And that does include the United States as well.
Interesting. The Bitcoin-driven voter. I mean, Anthony Scaramucci told us yesterday that he thinks that another Biden presidency would be better for the crypto industry writ large. We'll see if people believe him at the ballot box, if that's their primary motivation. Brad, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, shout out to Yahoo Finance for that. Real quick, in the chat, Mr. Geek of All Trades asked the question. He said, how do you feel that 95% have been mined in the first 15 years and how long it will take to mine the remaining amount? And how will that impact long-term BTC growth? I mean, I don't feel bad about it at all. I think it's awesome. The people that were in first, got the first dibs on it basically, right? And that's kind of what I'm hoping happens with, like, say, Caspa, because Caspa is gradually going to be gradually being cut down every single month, and eventually, it's going to be mined out in our lifetime, which is cool. The only thing that, Bitcoin thing that stinks about that is not going to be completely mined out until we're gone. Let's just be real about that. Nobody's living to see that day, right? What is it, like 2130 or something? So it is what it is, but I think it's going to drastically appreciate over its existence, to be honest. That's just my opinion. All right, do not read too much into Bitcoin's drop after crossing $69,000, says Anthony Scaramucci. This was 11 hours ago. Let's see what he's got to say over here on CNBC television.
Bring in somebody who's been around for a lot of crypto's highs and lows and tiers. That is Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital. Anthony, I get that Bitcoin is volatile. It's always been volatile. But a $9,000 move in 4 hours, even for Bitcoin, that seems bonkers.
Okay, but I want to take you back to 2021, the lead up. And so you had Bitcoin correct 10% or more 13 times on the March in 2021 from 3,800 to 69,000. And so this is the first big correction. I guess one of the other things we should be talking to people about is that it's a 50% move from the beginning of the year or since the inception of the ETF. So at some...
Well, on top of that, it rose $20,000 in like 2 weeks. Did it not? It was at like 50K. We went up to like almost 70. That's a shit ton of movement in the past 2 weeks to have no drawdowns. So you guys got to get used to this. If people are just coming into Bitcoin, you got to understand that, like, 20%, 30%, 40% pullbacks, like 100% are normal. That happens. It can't go up forever. Things are going to come down. The whales are going to sell and they're going to buy back in low to get everybody out. They're going to liquidate shorts and, then they're just going to make all the money. That's how they do it, man. That's how the rich get richer.
Point, it would had to have had a correction. Now, it turns out because you can detect these wallets and you can see what's moving on the Bitcoin blockchain, it looks like some wallets had released Bitcoin that were mined in 2010. So
from 2010, that's crazy. 2010, they finally sold their Bitcoin to take some profits. I mean, not a bad move, but realistically, I think they sold a bit early.
A big whale out there decided to dump his Bitcoin into the market at the same time as the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is dumping because of the high.
Actually, does anybody know how much Bitcoin it was? Because I don't know how much it actually was. I just know that it was from 2010. I heard that yesterday.
Fees associated with it. And so, Brian, those two things caused a dip. But, Bitcoin's got a bid again tonight. I have a bit clock in front of me. It's trading 63,727 or thereabout. So it did bounce off of 59. And this because, you're a technical guy like me. You get to a high that hasn't been reached in 2 years. You could see a flood of sellers there on an interim basis. So I don't read too much into this. And I'll say to you that what will surprise Bitcoiners is it getting through the all-time high prior to the halving, which is in April, probably April 20th of this year. So listen, if we get through that the all-time high before the halving, that will also be historic because that hasn't happened in the 15 years of since Bitcoin's inception.
And I know you called for Bitcoin 170K or more, depending on where it is, because every time it halves, it tends to go up 4x from that. But can I ask probably a dumb question, Anthony? I'm asking for myself. I'll be perfectly blunt, because you got to admit what you don't know, and this can be confusing, right? So if there's
takes balls to say that on TV, right? He's asking for himself, which is amazing. He's a news anchor, right? He's telling the news, but at the same time, he's trying to understand Bitcoin more. Real quick, Blaine Anderson asked about Coinbase. He said, can you do buy and sell orders on Coinbase? You can. Their fees are outrageous, okay? So if you do a limit buy or a limit sell, I think the fee is half. It's like $2.50 instead of $5, right? But there's also a monthly membership, I think, that you can get into that's like $30 a month, and I guess it wipes out the fees. Like, you don't have to pay like a bunch of fees on all the trades and stuff. So I don't know how that actually works. And then actually in the app, if you click on the top left, there's like the lines. You can click on that and click this little toggle that'll put you into like the pro mode, and then you can put in those buy and sells much easier. It's Coinbase Pro. It's so much easier.
a stock, and a stock starts to go up, and some hedge fund hates the stock, and they start to short the stock during the market. They can bully it around. You got buyers, you got sellers. I get Bitcoin has buyers and sellers like everything else, but how are the mechanics of Bitcoin different than an equity? You can short the turd out of an equity. How does Bitcoin get sold so quickly, given its mechanism is so different? Am I making sense?
Yes, no, you're making a lot of sense. But the stock that I would refer people to is Tesla, something that many of the viewers and listeners of CNBC know well. There were tons of shorts in Tesla with Tesla's march upward, and there was lots of oscillation. If you want to go way back, and I'll date myself back into the early 2000s, we watched Amazon go from $116 to $10, and people were calling for the death of Amazon. And of course, Amazon became one of the most successful companies in human history. So this is still immature. To your point, we don't have the options, derivative markets. Those options and derivatives on the Bitcoin ETFs have yet to be approved by the SEC. So we do have high margin over-the-counter instruments that are being used by brokers in the Bitcoin market, but those are sloppy and they're inefficient. So you probably need 6 or 12 more months of stabilization. And let me just make this last point. We have 5% adoption of Bitcoin globally. That puts us right about March of 1999 if you were comparing it to Web 1. So I just want you to think about what happened from Web 1, 1999, to where we are today, 25 short years later. And if you stay patient with Bitcoin and you have it appropriately sized in your portfolio, so you're not looking at these oscillations, I think you'll be well rewarded. And, listen, Skybridge and Skybridge clients, despite a lot of guff that I took over the last 2 years, have frankly been very well rewarded by this in the last 3 or 4 months.
Shout out to Anthony Scaramucci and CNBC Television for that. Real quick, so Dan R. actually answered my question. He said it was 1,000 BTC that was sold. He said 50 BTC at a time. So they probably sent or sold 50 BTC at a time, so it didn't freeze their account, because when you do, like, when you move Bitcoin that hasn't been moved in a while, these exchanges can flag your stuff, right? And also, for anybody that's into like leverage trading or just trading on offshore exchanges or anything like sketchy, right? If you send your funds from that exchange over to Coinbase or some of these American companies, they will freeze your account and say like weird activities happening. So what you should do is send it from wherever, not financial advice, okay? First, send it from wherever to your wallet, then out of your wallet to Coinbase. Please be safe, because they will freeze your shit and you'll be fucked. Excuse my language. All right, let's get into this. Markets in 2 minutes. Bitcoin may pause while gold stays perky. Let's see what this lady's got to say.
Let's go first to a couple of things that have happened. Gold and Bitcoin touching, new highs, and I wonder if we deal with these together or separately. Let's go with gold first, because some people drawing a link between some geopolitical developments, some risks to perhaps seizing Russian assets in places and what's going on there. But what's your take?
Yeah, first of all, I do think gold and Bitcoin are kind of related, but I think they are, you can't trade them exactly similar because they have like very, very different beta to the kind of global markets, as you said, the geopol, and then just they can get really, really stretched kind of moves. So Bitcoin is a slightly more leveraged play. I do think that the political, geopolitical backdrop makes gold a bit more of a buy. It still plays into the idea that the Fed wants to be dovish. So even though we've seen a reduction of rate cut cuts in the US, we still have the idea that we're going to get easier policy this year, and that's a good backdrop for the gold, particularly if the dollar is going to start turning lower as well.
Yeah, they're going to give this guy a heart attack. Oh my God, I'm like, why is he talking so fast? And then I realized they had a timer down here. They're literally timing him 2 minutes in this news. I was going to say cocaine's one hell of a drug, but he's being forced to do it.
What about Bitcoin then? I mean, there's just a measure of risk appetite, and if we are expecting rates to come down, then that's, there's all kinds of new coins being talked about.
It's a measure of liquidity. It's a measure of exuberance out there. I think now that we've kind of got to that new all-time high, I think we've kind of taken out a lot of the barriers around there. Look, short term from here, I think that the next 10K or so is probably lower, not higher. This is not some... I hesitate to make any long-term call on Bitcoin. You never think you should short an asset like that can go crazy on you. But I do think that probably the next 10K is probably lower, even next 15K. I think we've got through that brief stage of a kind of exuberance. I think it's going to squeeze lower from here.
What do we watch then from Powell today?
I'm really trying to calibrate this because, excuse me, I think Powell will be more hawkish than he was, say, a couple of months ago. But the problem is he doesn't want to suddenly turn explicitly hawkish. And I'm trying to work out where the market expectation is there. I feel like we hit a barrier of 3 rate cuts and we can't kind of squeeze higher in yields from there. Will Powell say enough today to really kind of get people to go, wait, the dot plot in March will only be 2 cuts? Or will people try to cling to the 3 rate cuts until we actually get the March dot plot?
Wow, shout out to that guy for taking a lot of Adderall this morning or whatever the hell he took. Anyways, crypto expert reveals whether Trump or Biden is better for Bitcoin. This was 3 hours ago. Let's get into it. Cryptocurrency craze. Fox Business.
All right, you would know it right now. Right now, we're seeing Bitcoin trading at just under, a little over, I should say, $64,000 a coin. But it had traded its high earlier this morning, very early this morning. Remember, it trades around the clock at $69,208, breaking the old record. I think that goes back to November 2021 of $68,990. So you're up about 50% year to date. You've essentially more than doubled your money in just the last 12 months. So it's a volatile ride and not for the faint of heart. Let's get the read from Zach Pandel, the Grayscale Investments Managing Director of Research. Zach, what do you make of that wild ride?
Well, it really has been a period of terrific performance for Bitcoin and other digital assets. The proximate cause of the rally has been the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETFs listed in the U.S. Market. These products have seen incredible demand at their start, totaling around $8 billion since early January. But the underlying reason for investor interest in Bitcoin is always macro in nature. Bitcoin is a macro asset, a store of value that competes with the US dollar, competes with physical gold. And investors are just interested in those attributes in a portfolio context. They're looking ahead to Federal Reserve rate cuts. They're looking at a contentious presidential election, which neither party is very focused on deficits or the debt, and seeking tools like Bitcoin to help protect their portfolio.
Shout out to, who was that? Savage White for becoming a member of the channel. Appreciate you, buddy.
Still, it is not for everybody, and you, of course, reminded folks that is something, but you could say the same about gold or silver or copper or magnesium, all those others alternative investments. Some even go so far to call them rogue investments. I don't know, Bitcoin and some of these other crypto plays deserve that. But you would think with the the ETF trading that's allowed now, and in April, I think you have another crack at halving, which will limit the available supply. You got a good 1-2 punch there. What do you think?
Yeah, the music scared me too, to be fair, Dan R. Apologize.
Well, I agree. There are tons of fundamental positives for crypto today. And the ETFs are just a new product structure to provide investors that access to the market. But it's those fundamentals that ultimately drive demand and ultimately drive price. And so today you are just seeing high demand through the ETFs, but because of macro reasons, because of Fed rate cuts and the desire to have store of value assets in a portfolio, and that's colliding with tight supply. The Bitcoin halving means that issuance of new Bitcoin is going to fall by half in April of this year. So that high demand, tight supply picture is simply what's driving up prices.
Could I ask you this? I usually eschew political questions when it comes to the markets, but I have a reason for this one, Zach, and it concerns how this type of investment in Bitcoin, crypto in general, does under a potential Trump administration versus a Biden administration that has an SEC chief who really hates it. It seems to, and really is reminding folks, even though we're going to allow ETF trading, I'm watching you. And I'm just wondering whether it would be a different environment in a Trump administration. Do we know anything about his thoughts or those who surrounded their thoughts on this type of investing?
The most important thing for Bitcoin is going to be the macro policy issues that are on the ballot, how those affect the outlook for the U.S. dollar and the economy, and therefore demand for alternatives to the dollar like Bitcoin. So, some of the things we're going to be watching are on fiscal policy, on deficits and debt. How are those things going to change with the election? And there is probably more important, not so much who is in the White House, but whether who occupies the White House also controls Congress. If one party controls both branches of government, it's easier to get fiscal policy changes enacted, maybe tax cuts on the Republican side, maybe spending on the Democratic side, but either of those things could raise the deficit and support Bitcoin. So I really think it's about those macro policy issues, not so much the specific legislation.
All right, shout out to Fox Business for that. Let's check out the price of Bitcoin real quick. 66,464. We need to get this thing pumping. We're supposed to get an alert in a second. Mr. Rudputs, appreciate the 249 super chat. I don't know why the super chats are super delayed, but Schmiegel, Bull Run, let's go. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for keeping the stream alive. All right, we're going to move on to Mr. Crypto Zombies video. He actually kind of breaks down everything. Bitcoin emergency update. Don't be fooled. Extremely time sensitive. Let's get into this, guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you all. Again, these are videos I haven't watched yet. There it is. If you guys aren't subbed to DJ Minds, go check out his channel. Let's go 75K. Let's get into it.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, I wanted to get this video out, a bit time sensitive, somewhat of an emergency, especially if you're new to crypto. Now, Bitcoin, as you can see right here, did actually...
I got to turn the volume up on that one, actually.
...reach its all-time high on some exchanges. Some exchanges it didn't. For example, over here on Femex, we only got up to around $68,700. We did get above $69,000 on some of the exchanges, but as you can see, there is this sell-off that's happening right now. So what you're having the bears come out and saying, see, I told you so. They weren't going to make it that easy for you. You know, obviously celebrating, calling for these insane low levels. But realistically, you need to pay attention to what's happening right now. And there may only be between 18 days to potentially a week. So you need to pay attention. This actually may be one of my most important videos I've
I'm going to put a poll in the chat. 18 days till we double. What do you guys think?
Of ever made. So definitely stick around until the end because we need to discuss the implications of what could be happening right now for crypto. So I want to jump straight into it. No intro today, guys. I want to jump right into the charts because as you guys can actually see right here, what's kind of interesting about the Bitcoin price action right now is even though a lot of people are looking to break that $69,000, $70,000 area, if you actually look at the Bitcoin market cap, we've actually technically already broken it because there is more Bitcoin available now, which means we needed more money to push the price higher. So actually, if you look at the previous all-time high, we had about a $1.3 trillion cap, whereas the high right now that we just hit this week was about 1.35. So we actually have got a new Bitcoin all-time high, and even currently where we're sitting right now, it's sort of around that same area of the market cap, right? But here is the kicker. If we have a look at what's going on right now, guys, you know, you could say what you want about whether or not we're going to have this crazy move to the downside or not, but if we have a look simply at what's going on right now, you could see that we're above all of these major moving averages, and generally, really what you want to see is these lower averages getting above the 200 weekly. Now, that may still take some time to happen, but as you guys can see right here, if we just look at this money flow down here, you could see that
Mr. Crypto for Seniors, appreciate you for becoming a Jump Change VIP. You're awesome, buddy.
We're starting to get into this first sort of 25% area, probably in the way over here, but you can see that's what's happening. Now, we generally do not just see a massive, you know, sell-off into a major bear market after this. In fact, you tend to have a very, very, very long continuation. So what you're seeing right now is potentially some people who may have just been in the markets for quite a long time. They're back at the all-time high. They're like, screw this, I've waited long enough. I'm just taking my profits and I'm just getting out of here. Well, to those I say good riddance, because by the end of this video, you know, if these people are deciding they want to sell and get completely out of the market, well, it's probably not going to turn out to be the greatest decision because as we can see, yes, there is opportunities for these pullbacks, right? And generally speaking, when you do reach previous all-time highs, you do occasionally start to have some form of a pullback at some point, you know, but the question is, with the pent-up ETF demand, how much of a pullback would we actually get and how long would it last, right? There's basically three scenarios that you could see. You could see a pullback from these levels, which that has happened before. In fact, the last time we were attempting to break the all-time high, we actually had 4 weeks of accumulation before we broke through that area. But what most people don't realize is once we do, inevitably, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, we do break and hold above that all-time high. Well, the statistics of how high we could go based on just retail, not even including the ETF, is actually mind-blowing.
Kind of a rocket ship.
If you look over the last 60 days and in the next 60 days, I think there's two big stories. The ETF approvals obviously were a huge deal. BlackRock alone has $11 billion in their ETF. They added $1 billion just in the last day. And so these are massive inflows for just one fund. There's 11 of them. And so obviously there's tons of money coming in, about 12 times more demand for Bitcoin than what the network is producing every single day. But also, as we near this record high, if we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less. And so if you think about that for a second, once you break through an all-time high, it's price discovery. What is this thing worth? The world is going to try to figure that out. And 3 of the last 4 times in 18 days or less, it doubled in price. You add in the fact that we have the halving coming, and we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the supply to 450. And it's very hard to make an argument that Bitcoin is not going much higher and at a faster pace than we all expected.
But you just made a case for going from 70 to 140 in 18 days. I mean, that sounds like things that you hear on TV where you just want to really stay away from.
Bitcoin's up 20% in the last week. It's up 60% in the last month. And it's up 200% in the last year. I'm not saying it's going to 140,000. What I'm saying is 3 of the last 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. And with a halving upon us, it's just hard to not say This is likely to go much, much higher.
And the craziest part about all the previous Bitcoin cycles and Bitcoin price action is it was primarily retail driven. Whereas now, obviously, we have these ETFs, which now has brought in 3 new camps of investors.
And so what I think also we start to pay attention to here is, look, there's 3 main new buyers that are now going to come into the market. The first is public pension funds, right? We had a fund, it was anchored by 2 public pension funds in Fairfax County. Catherine Molnar and Andy Speller were the CIOs there, and they're up 12x on their exposure to Bitcoin in that fund. And so when you see that, you say to yourself, wait a second, there's only 4 funds last year in all of state public pension funds that were fully funded. If they all went and put 1% in Bitcoin, there's a very strong possibility that a number of those funds would get back to fully funded status over the next 10, 15, 20 years. On top of that, you've got sovereign wealth funds. They've been very quiet right now. There's now ETF opportunities for them. They don't have to go buy Bitcoin and potentially take the risk of the geopolitical backlash. They can simply go get the exposure without actually holding the Bitcoin. If a sovereign wealth fund comes out, especially a major one, and says, we've bought Bitcoin and it is a material percentage now of our portfolio, I think that there will be a global race between countries.
And this is the part where...
Real quick, before he continues, I'm just looking at what Crypto KJ said. He was asking if we might get another all-time high today. Again, you guys can see this is the all-time high here. I don't know, looking at this is the 1 hour chart, right? So what you look at here is like this little yellow VWAP, right? Curling up, and you see the momentum waves going up, right? But this one's coming down and the money flow is coming down. So I'm not sure if we're going to see another all-time high today, because if you go to the other 45 minutes, you can see this is already curving up, but the money flow is coming way down. 30 minutes, I guess we're coming back into money on this one, but I don't know. This is I'm not a trader by any means, right? So just be cautious. I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of a jump up, but I don't know if we're going to break an all-time high because the momentum's already stupid high on the day. If you could see, if the wave was down here, it would be a different story. It'd be pushing it up further. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's continue.
Where the markets get crazy. They try to shake out the weak hands. They try to get you to second guess your investment, right? Oh man, Bitcoin's starting to fall. Maybe I should sell. Maybe I should get out right now. But you have to look. If we do end up breaking this right here, obviously the only thing after breaking the all-time high is price discovery. Now, as far as going to the downside, yes, we have plenty levels, right? We have the 0.786 at around 57. We have the 0.618. Maybe we revisit that around 48,700. But I'm telling you guys, that would be the opportunity to back up the truck and load up the Bitcoin, because I don't know when we're gonna get this big dip. At some point, we always get these corrections on the way up. Maybe we get it now, and maybe we go down for 4 weeks and then we break it. Maybe we, break above it, and then it's a sell the news into the halving event. But at that point, if Bitcoin's at 90,000 and it corrects back down to,
as we see a plane crash into his pool house,
65, you could basically just be buying at these levels anyway, right? It's all about, forward looking. And when you have these price discovery moments, sorry about the plane outside, guys. Sorry, just had to let that plane pass. But as you guys can see right here,
I think it was loud as shit. That's funny. I didn't watch this before.
After you break this Fibonacci extension level, the next area, because there's no price action here, there's nothing to go off of. The next area that you would look would be the 1.618, which puts Bitcoin at around $102,000 roughly. The one after that, the 2.618 would be 156,000, and the 3.618, which we actually did go to last cycle, would put Bitcoin at $210,000. So even just taking that first level right there at 102,000, when you think about the fact that 3 out of the 4 times we actually doubled the price once we broke in 18 days or less, that really shows you that time is in fact running out. And unfortunately, probably after this point, the average person is no longer going to be able to afford a full Bitcoin. So, that was the goal. There were so many opportunities. If you still are close to getting one, not financial advice, but one Bitcoin, when you think about what it could be worth in the future, I've heard the most insane price models I've ever heard. I've heard like $50 million per coin. Guys, let's just break the all-time high, for now. But again, the thing about Bitcoin that makes it so beautiful is that this asset...
All right, so this is why I love Crypto Zombie. He usually grabs pretty decent charts to look at or things to talk about through the Twitter space or whatever. So Let's just see what else is going to come up with.
Class is like something that we've never seen before, right? You could see Bitcoin right now is actually even attempting to push up on silver, basically putting Bitcoin at the 9th largest cap in the world. Maybe it's a little bit lower today, because of the pullback. But I mean, at this point, it has no jurisdiction. It's not Saudi Arabia. It's not USA. It's an absolute global phenomenon that everyone can gain access to. And like Matt Hogan was pointing out, these ETFs are actually acting a lot more aggressively and a lot crazier than we thought they would.
But I think the demand for these ETFs far exceeded anyone's expectations. By any measure, these are the most successful ETF launches of all time. And as you mentioned in the last segment, sometimes it comes down to simple supply and demand. If we looked last week, these Bitcoin ETFs purchased over 30,000 Bitcoin net, and Bitcoin miners only produced 6,000 Bitcoin. And as you said, that number is going to fall in half the amount miners are producing in a few weeks. More demand, reduced new supply. Sometimes it's as easy as that to explain why the price is going up.
And I know what you're thinking. At some point, somebody's got to sell, right? And then what happens to retail? What happens to everybody else? Well, the interesting thing actually is it's a little bit different this time, because the most likely people to sell are actually the retail or the OG hodlers that have been holding since, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. But what's interesting, like Matt Hogan also goes on to explain, is that the ETFs are probably not going to be the primary sellers.
Yeah, the thing that could stop Bitcoin from rallying is if long-term Bitcoin investors decide to sell, right? Because the ETF is soaking up more than 100% of the net new supply. So it's only when people who have been holding Bitcoin for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years decide to sell that we could see prices pull back, because I don't see the ETF demand going anywhere. You could see some of that selling as we breach new all-time highs.
It's only going to get greater as time goes on for the ETF, like price appreciation.
But I think we're going significantly higher. I think this is a bull market with legs. I think we'll still be talking to this about this into the summer and beyond.
And again,
once the normal institutions come in, like New York Life, your normal person that will allocate into your, Roth IRAs or whatever gets taken out of your paycheck a week or a month or however you guys do it, right? These things are going to push higher and higher.
Like I said, when we were looking at that market cap, Bitcoin is fundamentally different than a stock. It's more similar to gold or silver, right? And we're coming up on that silver market cap soon, which would literally put Bitcoin as the second. I mean, I think it's the most sound money. It is the most sound money, but according to the market cap, yeah, we got a ways to go until we get to gold, but it's primarily sentiment driven, which makes it a completely different animal.
And you have to understand that, Bitcoin is maybe the only globally traded asset that I know of whose demand is purely based on sentiment. There's not a Bitcoin company. There isn't Bitcoin price earning ratios. It's just a sentiment driven token. And what you can say about that, of course, is that sentiment has no limits. You can always be more optimistic. And so this rally may be the biggest we've seen. If we just look at where we stand today, pre-halvening for Bitcoin, and look at historical patterns, that would suggest, and I'm not predicting this, I'm just saying if you applied the historical patterns, it would suggest Bitcoin being in excess of $300,000 at the peak of this next bull market.
And yes, of course, being sentiment driven, that obviously means that emotions get involved, right? But at the end of the day, there is no CEO, there is no company that's pushing Bitcoin. This is
and that's the biggest thing behind it. Bitcoin is a program that is designed to just continue in its path with no hiccups, right? It's had no hiccups since inception on the actual digital ledger. There's nothing that can control Bitcoin, and that's the biggest thing here. They can't just continue to print more, like the government does.
Something that people are literally just choosing to go into, right? I mean, the only real advertisement we have are BlackRock and friends showing, their Bitcoin ETF commercials on TV, right? And looking at what we're doing right now, yes, this was actually quite expected. It's very common to not break the all-time high on first attempt, but what you can see is we did build up a few days right here. So it could be possible, maybe we're just coming down and just retest this leg right here and move up, or maybe we do go down to some of those Fibonacci levels. Something even interesting, just to point out, at some point, we're going to break the parabola. It's going to happen. Okay, we're not gonna just go up like this forever. We're gonna break that parabola. But what's crazy is if you actually have a look at this, I don't know if you guys know textbook patterns, but this could potentially be forming a cup and handle, right? So even if we had, this, we came all the way up to the all-time high, we had a retest even down, I mean, I know this sounds crazy to say out loud, but even a retest down to 44,000 right here would still be bullish, and it would still maintain a massive uptrend. So again, guys, just saying, these opportunities, these upcoming dips, like the bears are going to try to shake you out of the market. The markets are going to be volatile as hell. But at the end of the day, who are you selling your Bitcoin to? That's the biggest question. But, again, if we do break that all-time high, I mean, personally for me, I would think that if you don't feel that you have enough crypto, I'm not saying like I'm rooting for a pullback here, but I am saying that being able to buy Bitcoin below the previous all-time high is a gift, considering 3 times out of 4, we tend to double in less than 18 days. It's just something to consider. So that being said, guys, I just wanted to say, don't let the markets freak you out. The bull run is still on. It doesn't matter what happens over the next couple weeks. I mean, who knows? We could just slice through it like butter. At some point, we're going to have a 30-40% correction. It's just inevitable. It happens, but I don't.
Mr. Luke in the chat, thank you for making DJ scream. The $2 super chat, he said, "I'll smash the like or I'll ban you." Appreciate you for that. And Mr. Dan R, $5 super chat, my man, he said, "I have to go to pre-op." They said, "Chump Change, I leave you today. Buy guacamole and add Solana to your 1UP account donations and smash that like button." Thank you so much. If anybody's donated for the to crypto, I don't know if the alerts work. I have no idea, but I think somebody did donate like $5 to Litecoin. So thank you, whoever did that the other day. I'm not sure who it was, but yeah, I don't know. The alerts should work, but who knows? They're just not. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's keep going.
I don't believe that when that comes, whether we're having it right now, whether
and I'll try to get that going, Mr. Dan R. I think I have to pay for 1UP coin to like add more coins or something. I'm not sure.
It's, sell the news into the halving, whatever it is, these dips are for buying. This bull run is just getting started. And yeah, it's definitely not time to be sleeping. It's not time to be freaking out. And I'll tell you what, once we do break those all-time highs, then you are eventually going to start seeing the, the alt season that you've heard about for all these years. And if you think what we're seeing right now is alt season, not even close, my friends. Not even close. So that's it for me today. And I also just wanted to mention real quick, we have this promotion with BitGet going on.
Nope. All right, we're going to skip that. That is a shill. Crypto Zombie doesn't do that usually, but shout out to him. You got to pay the bills. I get it. All right. Shillcoin Daily. I know you guys don't like it, but I haven't seen this video yet. The Bitcoin price is about to go insane. Let's see what he's got to say over here. If there's any shills, I will cut it out. Let's do it.
If we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less.
Bitcoin's price did hit a new all-time high today of 69,200 before a flush out, a rejection of over 7%.
We can't say that wasn't expected. We can't say that was not expected.
Bitcoin's sudden 7% drop caused a bloodbath for the leverage traders, as the frenzy triggered nearly $600 million in total liquidation, and flushing out the leverage is healthy. Bitcoin will always purge the greedy leverage longs. Don't be greedy, stay humble, stack sats. But since the correction, and as we approach all-time highs again.
Once you break through an all-time high, it's price discovery. What is this thing worth? The world is going to try to figure that out. And 3 of the last 4 times, in 18 days or less, it doubled in price.
Plus the Bitcoin halving in about 40 days.
You add in the fact that we have the halving coming, and we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the supply to 450. And it's very hard to make an argument that Bitcoin is not going much higher and at a faster pace than we all expected.
I mean, when you do the math, I feel like I need to say that past results are not indicative necessarily of the future, because it just you sound so, I mean, it just sounds that anyone at home would if they're totally new at this game, they might mortgage their house and put it all in Bitcoin. And
let's find out. Hold on. Should we mortgage the house for Bitcoin? See what it says. Very doubtful.
There is still risk in the asset, is there not?
I definitely don't think that they should do that, right? I think 1 to 5% for a traditional portfolio ends up making sense.
But you just made a case for going from 70 to 140 in 18 days. I mean, that sounds like things that you hear on.
Listen, I think Bitcoin's going to go up, but I really don't think you guys should mortgage the house. And that's exactly what it said. It said very doubtful. Don't do it. It's not smart. It's not smart. But I do agree that you guys should put, some sort of your wealth into Bitcoin and don't sell it if it goes down. Just wait. It'll eventually go back up.
TV where you just want to really stay away from.
Bitcoin's up 20% in the last week. It's up 60% in the last month, and it's up 200% in the last year. I'm not saying it's going to 140,000. What I'm saying is 3 of the last 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. And with a halving upon us, it's just hard to not say this is likely to go much, much higher.
Now the Bitcoin ETFs continue to break records. Just in, the spot Bitcoin ETFs have already traded over $6 billion today. Volume for the Bitcoin 10 is really intense today, over $6 billion traded. And for context, that's more than Microsoft has traded with a couple hours left to go, probably going to beat last Wednesday's record.
Ooh.
BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, Bido are all in the top 15 most active ETFs today. And even BlackRock is
I'm getting scammed live. China mainland. What the hell is that? What is that?
doubling down, seeking to add Bitcoin ETFs now to their strategic portfolio.
I've never seen that in my life. China mainland coming to my phone. What? It's the most random shit ever. Well, that is so weird, guys. Oh, also, be careful. I've been getting actually emails to my personal email, which is crazy, for like saying like, oh, this invoice for like $500, something you never signed up to, and there's a number to call. Please don't answer or call those numbers, okay? Don't do it. They will absolutely just scam you, get your information, whatever. It's bullshit. If it didn't reflect on your credit card, don't worry about it. And if it did, just make sure you guys call your bank and get it figured out.
3 main new buyers that are now going to come into the market. The first is public pension funds, right? We had a fund. It was anchored by 2 public pension funds in Fairfax County. Catherine Molnar and Andy Speller were the CIOs there. And they're up 12x on their exposure to Bitcoin in that fund. And so when you see that, you say to yourself, wait a second, there's only 4 funds last year in all of state public pension funds that were fully funded. If they all went and put 1% in Bitcoin, there's a very strong possibility that a number of those funds would get back to fully funded status over the next 10, 15, 20 years. On top of that, you got sovereign wealth funds. They've been very quiet right now. There's now ETF opportunities for them. They don't have to go buy Bitcoin and potentially take the risk of the geopolitical backlash. They can simply go get the exposure without actually holding the Bitcoin. If a sovereign wealth fund comes out, especially a major one, and says, we've bought Bitcoin and it is a material percentage now of our portfolio, I think that there will be a global race between countries.
But Austin, all the charts are screaming toppy, frothy, sell. We are at a 90 extreme greed in the Fear and Greed Index.
Not anymore. We're at a 75.
And for reference, this is only 5 points away from the all-time high greed levels seen in February 2021. And while further correction is possible, and you understand that greater than 30% price declines during Bitcoin bull markets are normal and to be expected, you also need to understand that we have a new buyer accumulating Bitcoin today, and they don't care about your traditional charts.
The nature of this buyer does not care if it's driving Bitcoin up 5% every week. It will just keep on buying. We used to trade.
Those are the ETFs, aren't they?
High yield bonds and securities. And we used to have ETFs in that market, and they're an interesting sort of buyer in that they are indiscriminate to where the price is. I think all the sort of money that's come in, even on the institutional side into crypto, largely, there may have been strategies about buying it, or they would have like waited for certain times.
Real quick, so they're not discriminatory on the price because they have to, by law, have to have enough Bitcoin in their funding, their holdings, right, to fund all of the ETFs that are purchased. So if people are allocating like a little bit of their portfolios into Bitcoin, BlackRock needs to buy more. They're going to buy more. They have to. They don't have a choice.
All active managers coming in. They would take bonds that we used to trade, and they would actually take them to negative yield. Like we used to trade bonds with call options attached to them. And the ETF would just keep buying. They do not care if it's the wrong time to buy, if it looks, if it's been 10 straight days of it going higher and the RSI is at like 95, they do not care. And I think that's something that the market will kind of have to get used to, is that we will start to see these consecutive runs where we start to push the edges of maybe technical indicators and things start to feel frothy, and it will just keep on going. So that's the thing that's really caught me on this, is that if you're a chartist looking at some of these, I think you can get burnt quite badly, because I actually think we're just going to keep on going higher.
So as the Bitcoin price consolidates near all-time highs, understand this is an ongoing story, and click subscribe. You do not
up, and Bitcoin is back to an all-time high. Stocks are up, etc. So what Bitcoin has become is a index for global liquidity. And although the Fed, the ECB, and Japan are actually contracting their balance sheets, China has been basically giving the middle finger to the rest of the global economy. And they're saying, hey, we're going to ease here. We're going to go and put liquidity into the market. And so Bitcoin is a big, big winner. If you believe that the dollar is going to continue to be debased over the coming decade, Bitcoin's going to be a winner. If you think global liquidity is going to go up, Bitcoin's going to be a winner there too.
Breaking. New milestone achieved as we break through $1 billion in daily trading volume. This is for Polkadot. Let me
Does anybody own Polkadot?
Update you on altcoins, and keep in mind,
God, he's an ambassador. He's going to shill this shit.
I'm invested in these projects. Yes, Polkadot is more than just a blockchain.
By investing, I think he means they gave him Polkadot to talk about it sometime, and he holds it.
It's 51 blockchains where users and developers can create their own chains that are secured by Polkadot and can interact with other parachains in a seamless and trustless way. This is the leadership answering the question, is Polkadot more than just a blockchain? We also have ZK Link, which, as they describe themselves, and L3, the first aggregated L3 rollup uniting Ethereum L2s via ZK Snarks. The news today is introducing ZK Link Nova, Ethereum's first aggregated L3 ZK EVM rollup that aggregates liquidity from any rollup using any L2 tech stack. So obviously great news for ZK Link, great news for Ethereum, but what does this mean?
Ethereum's going through their what is it? That upgrade, the dank upgrade, or whatever the hell it's called.
It means that developers can now deploy Solidity smart contracts, which is Ethereum's native programming language, on Nova, and access liquidity and native assets from every ZK and OP L2. The time for a united and interoperable Ethereum rollup ecosystem is now. Also, speaking of liquidity, easy, the testnet is near completion, and
nope, we're not going to talk about NFTs. All right, he's just going to be shilling shit the rest of the time. Anyway, shout out to Altcoin Daily for that. We're going to get into the recap of things. Let's see what we're looking like over here for coin. Bitcoin, $67,049. We have Ethereum at $38.73. Are we going to see $4,000 today? Let's see. Hopefully we do. It'd be nice. Uniswap looks like it's at $16. Dogecoin, 16 cents. Shiba says it's down to 14, or it's down 14.45%. Not really too sure about that. I don't know. Shiba's been freaking killing it though, to be honest. Again, look at the week, okay? The week it's up 216%. The day it's down 11. Like, it's not a huge deal. Mr. Joker Miner in the chat. Thank you. Chump, we'll see you. I think you meant to say, we'll sell you my S19K Pro for 4X, Timmy.
Perfect.
He's really mad. He's mad yesterday. I said I can't wait till the bull run so I could sell my S19K to Joker Miner for double. he's upset about that. What other coins are you guys into? Let me know in the chat real quick before we get out of here. I got like a couple minutes left, and then I get back to daddy duty. You guys know how that goes. And we're going to be raiding Miss Randy Hipper in a few. Let's see. All right. Lithium again. You guys, a lot of you guys are miners here. So lithium is doing fairly well. It's $3.33, up 6.5% today. Joker Miner. Kidding with you, buddy. I was just joking. All right. Let's see. ADA. Cardano. Is anybody into this? Thanks for making DJ Pump. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Joker Miner. I had to turn it down a little bit. It was really loud last time DJ went off. But yes, thank you so much for that. Let's see. Love me some ADA. Really? So it's the problem with ADA for me. I'm sure it's probably going to go higher. It's at a 25 million right now. $25 billion market cap. It's already in the top 10 though. Top 10 coins can only go so far, at least in my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be, they could all double easily, right? So you could make money for sure. But if you guys really want to get like real gains, my opinion is going after a little bit higher on the 100 list, or even out of the 100 list. Man, Caspa's really taking a hit, huh? This is friggin', I'm actually going to buy some today. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna buy some Caspa today, actually. Not bad. Let's see. You guys gotta look. Caspa. Look at this. All right, so for anybody that's like worried about Caspa, this is the poll, and it's gonna create a flag. Okay, it's most likely doing the same thing. We're gonna see what happens. Mr. Pellish Miner, shout out to you for being a member for 3 months. He said Joker is always upset he can't take a joke. I agree. All right, let's see. What else? Thoughts about Flux? You know what? Flux. What do you guys feel about Flux? Let me know in the chat. Put your thoughts in the chat. Flux is at 96 cents. What is it? Flux Edge? Is that what it's called? Oh, shit. Oh, I did type it in. Let's see. Flux Edge. Isn't it like... Let's see. Flux Core AI. I don't even know what that is. I am not familiar, so I pardon my ignorance on this entire thing. I don't even know what it's going to take me to. Proof of useful work. Flux Edge. Oh, here it is. Yeah, benchmark leaderboard. Okay. So, is this like a renting service? Is that what it is? Is it kind of like Dynex stuff? Like the Dynex Solve thing? Is that what this is? Does anybody know? I am not familiar with this at all, to be honest. This is just out of my realm. I don't have time for this. I fill my brain with enough nonsense. I mean, yes, listen, I will invest into coins that I think are going to make it. I don't hold any Flux currently. I think they're going to do fine, but I don't know. I held it too long and I sold too early, and now I'm bitter. now I'm a bitter POS. But no, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to do well. I think it'll do well. Okay, Flux, nah, meh, says John Germain. CCXD, that is a very good point. Just imagine what Neoxa will do if it moved only 250 spots in the top 1,000. And that's kind of what I'm like, you know, gauging on or thinking about. Let's see. Neoxa is actually up 0.1% now, but it's in the top 1,000. Like coins like this that really don't have any price discovery yet, I would say, right? It's at a $19 million market cap. That's really low. That's really low as of right now, right? So we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens here, but they do have a 21 billion max supply. This is a gaming token. If anybody doesn't know what Neoxa is, let's see. See if it pops up. Neoxa.net. That's what it is. So they actually just added CS2. So they have like games that you could play and earn Neoxa, which is kind of cool. So like shooter, I don't know what, oh, this is Rust, GTA 5. I don't know what Dota 2 is. I have no idea what this game is. They have Fortnite. They just added CS2, and I guess they're going to be adding Pal World to it. So I don't know. I think once they add Pal World, it's going to be a pretty decent thing. And what they do is basically make their own servers, and you just play the games on it, and they give you like things to complete and you earn tokens, right? But yeah. Anyways, and it is mineable, so it's a mineable and game playable, or play to earn coin rather. Let's see. Imagine Neoxa at 500 million, dude. I would be a gajillionaire. 1,000%. Mr. Joker Miner with the $2 super chat. Go finish my basement, please, and thanks. Never in a million years, bro. Crypto Frank also with the 19.99 super chat. He said, I had someone ask, why does it matter how many BTC there are? I told them, let's say I told you there were only 5% more US dollars ever to be printed again, and it would never be more. Then everyone would want cash. And that's very true. That's very true. It is very true. But people are so skeptical about the fake internet money, and that's like that's the thing that, like, I hate to do this, but like older folks don't understand fully, right? They don't get how this money or this fake internet coin is actually money. Mr. Financial Failure, my man, for the 5 gifted memberships. You're amazing. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. You're awesome, buddy. What is that one? What is that? That was weird. I've never seen that alert. What was that alert? Looks like a box. That's awesome. Again, Crypto Frank, thank you so much for the super chat. And that's, dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all when it comes to that. But yeah, guys, we're doing pretty good. Again, Financial Failure, thank you so much. Let me see. I don't know what that friggin' alert was. It was like a box. It was cool. It showed you gifted the memberships, but do the memberships actually go off? I'm not sure. I'm using, oh, there they go. There they go. Weird. Interesting. I've never had this thing work like that. Financial failure. Again, thank you so much. Let's see who got the memberships. We got Overboard Tech, Curtis, congrats. Chris Fox, congrats. Zarkov, congrats. And Crypto Meme. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much again. All right. We're going to get out of here. We're going to go raid Miss Randy Hipper. She is going live in about 20 minutes or so. And yeah, I'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, Financial Failure, Crypto Frank, Joker Miner, Luke, all you guys, everybody that donated, you're awesome. Appreciate you all. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Peace out. Have a good day. And I missed Joker Miner. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. You didn't have to do that. Miss Randy Hipper got one. Mr. Randy himself got one. Let's see who else. Galaxy, Fully Electric, and John Germain. Okay, now I'm really out of here. Love you guys. Peace out.
Eat shit